when's it my turn? Because there's all these Marines in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are just flooding or
they're picking up because even the radio operators were picking up faster. Yeah. So
where did you learn? What was your model of what leadership should be?
I think what it was like, okay, one, we had a Lance Corporal, like I said, that he was there for 2 years and he was involved in everything. You know, he did his McMaps as best as he could. No matter what, even as a Lance Corporal in Okinawa, he always tried, he had that respect. I think what it was like, I felt more close with him because of the simple fact that, sometimes he could be a douche, but the fact that he knew what his gear did, he knew that's what I think what I respected about him the most was he knew his job. And, you know, same with this sergeant, like the one that was kind of like trying to talk to me into the North Carolina guy. He's all like, he goes to me, he's all like, look, Jimmy, he's all like, you gotta understand. He called me Jimmy, which is so weird. Even when I picked up Corporal and Sergeant, which this is a funny story afterwards. He pushed me to be like, no matter what, he's all like, he saw how many times I disrespected his corporals, but at the same time, he never ripped me up. He never wrote me up for the same reason because he goes like, he understood that the issues that we were going through, and he saw that I was pissed off Marine no matter what I went. For some reason, I was just pissed off when I was a Lance Corporal, even as a private and everything. I was just pissy, you know. I don't know if it was just because I had that chip on my shoulder or maybe because I just didn't feel like everything was going as fairly as I expected it to be. As much as I think what it was, I think it was the hypocrisy of like honor, courage, commitment, and all this integrity and all this other stuff. But at the same time, I'm seeing other people doing completely opposite. So it became like, you're teaching me these things, but at the same time, a lot of guys are doing the opposite and they're getting up there. So I'm like, what is the right tactic here?
Yeah. Until
I met the sergeant, and his was like, he burned me out to the day. Like, I remember last time I disrespected his, same corporal again, fucking went off on him. I pretty much told him to fuck off and go eat shit, right? And he's all like, he heard, all like, give her, about the next, sure enough, he ran me through that old course at least a good, like, 10, 15 times until he finally saw that I wasn't going to give up. And I think that's where our mutual respect came in. And he kind of took me under his wing and he goes like, all right, I could see you don't want to be in the rear. And so sure enough, he went through my records and everything because this is what he told me after. He saw that I was a 2-time expert, you know, shooter. So like, I have a spot for you. And I think you'll do better in this spot than what you're at right now. And he made me a PMI.
Nice.
He sent me to PMI course and everything. And he saw that I had a strength because he told me that like a lot of your peers are afraid to stand up to the point where you're at, where you're willing to fucking throw everything across the board to be fair. And a lot of your guys respect you for that. So why don't you bring that to a course, be an instructor instead?
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you to PMI course. So it was because he saw that he wasn't gonna break me with physical agitation, and he know that there was no way that like he was with his own morals he wasn't gonna write me up because for the same reason he thought like I rather and he said it like I rather PT the shit out of you than write you up because the write up stays on your record. That Hayes session only lasts for so long.
I wish more people were like him.
Yeah, trust me. And
you have no idea.
And for that, I respected him.
Yeah.
I respected him so much for that I'm like, fine. I think that was the first time I started listening.
So prior to this, did you play sports in high school?
No.
Okay. And prior to this, had you taught anybody before? Had you instructed anybody?
Never.
So this was kind of like all new territory for you.
New territory. Never instructed anybody in my whole life. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into again. How
was that?
To be honest with you, it was the first time I did it, nerve-wracking. I mean, nerve-wracking because my first class was a major, a captain, a freaking like couple of sergeants, and a bunch of other like lance corporals and like PFCs that I knew around the island.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh shit, you know? So I knew honestly, the first time I did it, I messed up so badly. I was messing up the acronyms. I was messing up like everything, but I was like, all right. So that taught me a lesson. I'm like, all right, for the next course around, good thing that everyone knew how to already shoot already. So the next course around, They're like, because the first thing they tell me is that, oh, hey, Guevara, now that you're qualified, guess what? You get the next course right off the bat. Like, he pulled me out of the shop within the first, like, week of, like, having the first rotation of people going to the range. And I'm all like, what? Yeah. I wasn't ready. I think I needed to be pushed off the edge.
I went through that PMI school too in Hanson, and I was overwhelmed because the very first group of individuals I got were all, I'd say 80% of them were LTs and captains. And so, you know, that whole mindset of, yes, sir, no, sir.
Yeah.
Like, you still like stand. But you quickly learn that in that arena, you have the authority.
Yeah.
And it's a different feeling, isn't it? Like,
it's a very different feeling because like
Lance Corporal
Smokatelli over here trying to freaking like instruct majors, and like a major was, I think my most intimidating was the major. The captain wasn't too bad. It was kind of in the middle. And the lieutenant, I knew that he knew as much as I did. So that's why I wasn't too worried about the lieutenants I think it was the major that I feared the most, because I know that he has so much time and grade. I think his camis were older than me. That's what it felt like at the time, you know?
Yeah.
And so I realized, I'm like, all right, I can't be doing this again. Next time around, I restudied everything again, and I went down every single thing that I could have done different.
Yeah.
What do I feel like is not teachable and stuff that's not even required? And then that's when I first realized that I had this power over teaching people, like, because not power, but I guess I would say this privilege that I had, that I'm able to teach Marines how to shoot. And that's what kind of got into my head after. So like, this is the first feeling that I get. This is what I kind of wanted to be like. Now I get to finally train Marines for the first time ever in my career. And I was like, not someone teaching me. Like the whole time somebody had been teaching me. Now I get to teach somebody else on something that I'm very good at, you know?
Yeah.
And then I took it more serious. And then that's kind of when I started becoming more flexible. I think I started realizing that everyone has a different way of learning, a different style. And there's a lot of times I got frustrated because they didn't want to I tell them something, they wouldn't listen, but I'm like, all right, how do I change this mindset? And that's kind of like when I first experienced that good feeling of like, all right, I think I got this, you know. And then I became more confident. And I think that was my first real confidence booster, was being a PMI, because even after just walking around my base, everybody just knew me as coach.
Yeah.
No one ever knew my name. Nobody knew my last name. Nobody knew my, like they knew my rank, but everyone's just like, hey, what's up, coach? What's up, coach? Hey, what's going on? Hey. Yeah. They're like, and even on my plaque on my way out to, like, from Okinawa, they're like, fucking Jimmy, the coach Guevara. That's how they knew me as. Yeah. That guy. Because, like, I helped instruct so many people, because they kept sending me back, because I guess getting good, like, you know, results back. People are coming back from pizza box to the sharpshooters to experts and stuff like that, and I think they were really happy about that, you know? And that I wasn't trying to be the authoritative, like, dick figure, because from what I've experienced, no one respects that. Nobody really listens to that person. Yeah. So I'm like, I didn't want to be that, and that was, you would say, that would be my first lesson of what not to be a leader like. And after seeing how my sergeant treated me, that's kind of when I started molding my own, like, leadership style, where I was being more, okay, I got to set the example, but at the same time, I got to figure out a way to also them respect the fact that this is important for them. And that's kind of like, I guess, where I started building that up, you know? And
because when they see that you care, then that's when they care. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this whole transition, you're turning from kind of this fuck off kind of guy to this leader that has a purpose. One, you have a purpose. Two, you have kind of a model of what leadership should be, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're now getting recognized around base. Mm-hmm. There's a little respect kind of going on. And I think from personal experience, I think the fact that I was a PMI and then I coached so many people helped me on all of my downfalls, you know, when I got, you know, busted for underage drinking. And I think that being in that arena and in that, I guess, spotlight helped me be a better leader for my non-NCOs, for everybody underneath me, for all the NCOs and all the non-COs and all the staff NCOs, just in my shop in general. I think that being a range coach helped me move the shop around and get what I needed done around the unit. Did you find that as well? Did you see did you see you were treated a little bit differently?
Yeah, big time. Because now I had I didn't have that reputation of mouthing off at corporals or being just a fuck off anymore. Like now I had this, you're an instructor now, and that kind of set me away from my peers a little. And again, like it made me feel different big time, to a point where I'm just like, okay, I need to also start learning how to do my job a lot better. Also, not only my PMI job, but I also need to start learning how to do my actual primary job for whatever reason, you know. Yeah. You never know. And then I started taking things a lot more serious, started understanding. Every time I went on a field up with my unit and everything, I started like trying to learn as much as I could. I remember taking things apart and putting them back together in downtime, and even with each other, we try to we helped each other out. That's the first time I started understanding that I get a chance that not everyone gets, to where I get to rebuild myself.
Yeah.
I was happy with that, you know? And a lot of the other stuff that happened before then with the corporals and everything, it kind of just faded away. That was something that happened in the past, where we're both on different levels now. And what he does is he does his thing and I do mine, and we don't meet in the middle, you know?
Yeah.
And we kind of now had a mutual respect from each other, you know? So, and I think that's kind of what changed the game plan.
So how long did your military career last?
I got 4.5 years.
Yeah.
So 4 years and 6 months. That was because they needed people in Iraq, and I stayed an extra 6 months in Fallujah. And then that's an interesting story too, because our lieutenant was a master sergeant, and then he went over to become a lieutenant. And the way he said it, I was like, well, I picked up faster because he was on MSG duty. He always wanted to be an officer. And when I remember he asked a lot of us, like, what do you Marines want to do? And I'm like, what do you mean? I remember because he was the first Hispanic lieutenant I ever met in my life.
Okay.
And he happened to be our lieutenant. So it was so weird because I had a different vibe from him.
Yeah.
He's very respected. And for me, I've never seen a Latino lieutenant ever in my life.
Yeah. And
remember one day he comes up and like, hey there, Lance Corporal Guevara. I was like, he started speaking to me in Spanish, and I'm like, wait, what? Is this allowed? Like,
is this allowed?
Yeah. Because at the same time, I didn't know anything about my background. I don't know anything about Central America and everything. Yeah. And he asked me where my family came from and everything. We had a conversation like that. And I remember one day, they're like, I'm like, I'll be honest with you. I told him the same thing. Look, I came in trying to be a radio operator. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in MUX, and I'm going to probably end up just being a PMI in the Marine Corps, because I don't get to do the high-speed, low-drag that all these other Marines get to do. And I told him, well, in reality, that's pretty much most of our MOS. If you look at everyone here, that's pretty much what everyone originally wanted to sign up to, or kind of had an idea what it was supposed to be like. We don't get that honor, you could say, to go out there and do something. Unfortunately, though, we're the support team, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know what he did. He pulled some strings. He came back to the company and asked for volunteers. And if everybody wanted to go to JWTC, which is the Jungle Warfare Training Center up in northern Okinawa, you know, Gonslav or something.
Yeah.
Camp Gonslav.
Where you learn how to skin a snake and eat it.
All this other weird shit. And we're like, and the first thing I remember, almost like pretty much a good 3/4 of our platoon raised their hand.
Yeah.
Those that didn't, I was actually kind of surprised, but whatever. So like, and then of course another section, because it was for the whole company. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just for only our platoon, it was for the whole company. And this is the first time that our company, like our shops, actually got to work together for the first time outside of just, oh, this is your field, you deal with your field. This is, you know, this is the first time we get to deal with us.
It's your first time kind of seeing Marines work together.
Correct.
From other units,
shops.
Other shops.
Motor T came in, like headquarters, and they were like, what? Like, we were just so weirded out by it at first.
Nice.
And sure enough, we spent, I think, a good 2 weeks out in Camp Gonslav, going through their course. Oh my God, we smell bad. No, coming back. And I remember we had a daily routine for some, as soon as we were done with whatever training we had to do, we would all go take a shit together. But the shitters were they were this concrete slab, and they only had a hole in it, and it had a little divider that only went up to your thigh. And then the next guy is literally right next to you, within 3 inches away from you taking a shit themselves. Oh my God, it was ridiculous. The most interesting bonding experience we ever had. There was moments that it was miserable because it kept raining on us. The whole freaking mountain was